Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to News Dose, and we got some shocking, albeit amazing news over the weekend for a quote-unquote Xbox game. This is actually one of my favorite games for this generation, which is a sentiment that I know a lot of fans share as well. But that's also why this entire situation is just so strange. Like, you really have to wonder what Xbox is doing sometimes, aka Microsoft. I do believe this is an upper management boneheaded decision, but the end result is still good for fans, and we're going to get into all of that today. Before we get started, though, do make sure to hit that subscribe button if you like this type of content. That way, every time I post a new video, it'll be delivered directly to your device. But let's just go and get right into things, starting off with a what-if sequel for PlayStation. Last generation, Sony contracted their longtime partner, Ready at Dawn, to make an exclusive that would ultimately showcase the power of the PlayStation 4, The Order 1886. To this day, from a technical standpoint, The Order is extremely impressive. It's probably one of the best looking games from last generation, but it never really lived up to that hype in terms of its gameplay. You can see overall on Metacritic, it ended with a 63 overall score, and its user reviews don't really fare all that much better. It still has a 6.8 overall user score. I'd almost kind of say that The Order was PlayStation's version of Rise, Son of Rome to a degree, and the reason I say that is because both these games were criticized and praised for very similar reasons, and both games still have some hardcore dedicated fans to this day that wants a sequel. Well, apparently in the case of The Order 1886, Ready at Dawn was actually in fact planning a sequel before they were acquired. This was revealed by Shinobi over on Twitter, and we can read here where he said, "From what I knew, they had awesome plans in place for a sequel to The Order before Meta got them. With the engine already in place, which took up a ton of time and resources in the first one, they were going to put everything into the gameplay experience next. I bet we could have seen an Assassin's Creed to Assassin's Creed 2 level jump. Hope everyone lands on their feet. What a tragic ending for such a talented team." And that's the part that gets me. Ready at Dawn truly was a talented team with a lot of promise. And I understand The Order probably didn't meet Sony's expectations, but they had been partners for such a long time. You know, Ready at Dawn also developed games like God of War Chains of Olympus, Ghost of Sparta, and Daxter for the PSP. So it's always been a studio that felt right at home on PlayStation, and Sony kind of let them slip away. Meta acquired them for their vision for VR, and now here we are, and they closed them down. So it really just kind of feels like a missed opportunity for Sony, and you do have to kind of wonder if things would have been different if they would have. You know, would they still be making games to this day, and would we have gotten that sequel for The Order 1886? It definitely seems like that would have been very possible, but as sad as it is, this really is just a tragic end for a studio that showed a lot of promise throughout the years. Now let's go and switch gears here and talk about something good, because I have something interesting for you fans of Arcane Studios. Wolfeye Studios, which is co-led by the co-creator of Dishonored and Prey, just announced his next project. Previously, Wolfeye worked on Weird West, which actually turned out to be a pretty good game, but apparently their next project is a much more ambitious title that builds on the DNA of Arcane. This is what he said in a press release. "We are so happy to be able to officially confirm that our next game is actively in production and that it is a first-person action RPG. Fans of the past games that I have been involved with, such as Dishonored and Prey, will feel at home, as well as fans of RPGs in general. While we look for the right publishing partner, our sights are firmly set on getting our community involved with the game's community with a limited private alpha in 2025. We cannot wait for fans to see what we are working on." Now, we don't have gameplay quite yet, but they did reveal some pictures here, and it definitely looks like a much bigger game than what we got from Weird West. But there's two other things that I thought was really interesting about this announcement. One is that it will have a private alpha sometime in 2025. They want direct feedback from fans, which I think that's a very good sign. For one, it hopefully will make for a better end result, but that could also mean that it might not necessarily be super far out for a full release. We could see this one in late 2025 or maybe sometimes in 2026. The other interesting thing about this announcement, though, is that they are seeking a publishing partner. So, just kind of given their pedigree, it'll be quite interesting to see who comes in and stakes a claim on this game. Technically that could be a third-party company like EA, Ubisoft, Take-Two, Tencent, etc., but we also can't necessarily rule out Xbox and PlayStation. Again, just kind of given Wolfeye's pedigree here, this is a game that could draw a lot of interest from all kinds of different publishers, so we'll kind of see what happens here, but it's definitely a game worth keeping an eye on if you like Arcane, Prey, and Dishonored. Alright, so let's go and get into the big story of the day. This is as equally baffling as it is also amazing. The amazing part is that Tango Gameworks and Hi-Fi Rush lives on. Yes, but not under the Xbox umbrella. And that's where the story gets very strange, I would have to say. I mean, let's just kind of rewind here for a moment to kind of better understand the entire situation. And I'm going to give you my thoughts about everything and what all has transpired. So, a few months back, Microsoft shocked the gaming world when they shut down Tango Gameworks just 1 year after they delivered one of their most praised games this generation, Hi-Fi Rush. For that matter, Hi-Fi Rush is actually one of my favorite games from this generation, and I've mentioned that throughout various different videos. To me, it's a breath of fresh air, and both critics and fans loved it. It has an 87 overall score on Metacritic, and it also has an overwhelmingly positive rating on Steam. So seemingly, Xbox had a brand new IP that they could be proud of. And at the time, Xbox insisted that it was a successful game. Aaron Greenberg said, and I quote, "Hi-Fi Rush was a breakout hit for us and our players in all key measurements and expectations. We couldn't be happier with what the team at Tango Gameworks delivered with this surprise release." So you would think, with all of that information, that Tango Gameworks has a bright and promising future under the Xbox umbrella. Yet despite all of that, they ultimately decided to shut down Tango just earlier this year. To say fans felt burned, just kind of given everything that Xbox had said prior, yeah, this was a bit of a shocking surprise and a big disappointment. There was a lot of disappointment when this decision was made. Fast forward to today, though, and the good news here is that thankfully, if you like Hi-Fi Rush and if you like Tango Gameworks, as I very much do, well, then we do have something to be happy about after all, because Krafton, which is most known as the publisher for PUBG and the Callisto Protocol, swooped in and asked Microsoft if they could save this company and the Hi-Fi Rush IP. And to that, Microsoft thankfully agreed. In Krafton's official statement, they said, "Krafton today welcomed the talented people of Tango Gameworks to their team, marking an exciting moment in the company's global expansion and its first significant investment in the Japanese video game market. This strategic move will include the rights to Tango Gameworks' acclaimed IP, Hi-Fi Rush. As a part of this strategic agreement, Krafton intends to collaborate with Xbox and ZeniMax to ensure a smooth transition and to maintain continuity at Tango Gameworks, allowing the talented team to continue developing the Hi-Fi Rush IP and to explore future projects. Krafton intends to support the Tango Gameworks team to continue its commitment to innovation and delivering fresh and exciting experiences for fans." So thank you, Krafton. We are back in business once again. This pretty much all but ensures that Hi-Fi Rush will get its intended sequel after all, and the beloved studio can once again create more great games. John Johannes, the director for The Evil Within 2 and for Hi-Fi Rush, has already announced his return to Tango Gameworks, and it looks like a lot of the team is actually coming back as well. So, I mean, this really is amazing news, and I'll just kind of say this much. Kudos to Xbox for allowing this team and for this IP to move on under a different company. But for as happy as I am, because I'm very happy about this announcement, but I also can't ignore that this probably should have never happened in the first place. Krafton shouldn't have had to have saved them at all. Like, here's the thing. This is a prime example as to why there's so many people that don't trust Xbox. They had a hit game on their hands that fans loved. And instead of growing that studio and that IP, they shut them down. Like this studio and this franchise meant nothing to them. Now, to be completely fair here, I don't think that this was necessarily a decision made by the core Xbox team. I've talked about this in the past, but I think there is a power struggle going on with Microsoft and within Xbox. I do believe a lot of this comes from Microsoft's upper management taking more control from the Xbox team. But at the end of the day, that doesn't really make this decision any better for fans. Microsoft as a gaming company doesn't really have a lot of goodwill with fans, and moves like this squanders what little they have left. Like, right after they shut down Tango Gameworks, Xbox had the audacity to tell their employees that they need smaller, critically acclaimed games. Like, what are we doing, honestly? You just shut down the studio that delivered that for you. You're speaking out of both sides of your mouth. And that's something that fans have seen from this company for a very long time. Microsoft's messaging has always been a problem when it comes to Xbox. I mean, I like Xbox myself, and I'll continue to say great things about them when they do the right things. But with every move like this, it's a small cut to their fan base. And those cuts, they add up over time. Like, I feel like this was just a short-sighted, terrible decision by Microsoft. Not because I think that a Hi-Fi Rush sequel will sell tens of millions of copies. I don't believe that at all. But sometimes just having a quality franchise under your belt that fans can be excited about can be the start of something bigger for your brand. Not everything needs to be some kind of mega hit. It's all connected. Just look at Nintendo as one such example. They're happy with the Fire Emblem series. They're happy with Metroid. They're happy with Xenoblade. Not because they're the best-selling games in their catalog, but they're happy with those games because they're still great games that does well enough. That quality gives fans something to believe in. It gives them confidence in the Nintendo brand. And that's something that Xbox has struggled with since the launch of the Xbox One. So they need games like Hi-Fi Rush. They need these high-quality games that fans can latch onto to say, hey, this is what we have over here, and this is why we love the Xbox brand. Yet here we are. They shut down Tango Gameworks only for another studio to see the promise that they had. And thankfully, Microsoft at least agreed to selling it off to them. I mean, you can take all of that as you will, but all I can say is thankfully, Krafton sees what we see. A great studio that can deliver great games. So I am thrilled to see what Krafton and Tango can do together. I hope they absolutely knock it out of the park. Anyways, though, that's going to be it for this episode. But until next time, subscribe and peace out.